Guys, I'm Matrix and I am here with Hammer, and today we are talking about the Perth Wildcats. Mate, our friends from out west, the Wild Wild West, what have they been doing?
Had a busy off season. They had Alex Sarr go to the NBA with the number 2 pick, uh, and they brought in a next star by all reports, who is going to be the second coming.
Of Alex Sarr, apparently.
Hmm.
Played with the G League Ignite with him. Uh, Friends by all accounts, but apparently have very similar games as well. I know if they both went to the NBA, they were projected to be drafted beside each other, both in the lottery. But Perth just have to be the best at recruiting here in Australia.
They've been very solid. They've also had a lot of stability this off season. They retained John Rillie as coach again. They retained 2 imports with Bryce Cotton and Doolittle. Um, they've really only brought in a couple of players, but they've really nailed it this year, haven't they?
Yeah, and I suppose the fresh signing, being the day that it is over here, Dylan Windler,
Hmm.
uh, who comes with NBA experience. He played, I think, 90 games for the Cavs, had contracts with the Lakers, the Hawks, but yeah, couldn't really round out an NBA spot. But you have some G League stats for
Yeah.
Dylan Windler, the
He's
MVP of
been
the
very
G League.
productive. He's been very productive in the G League across a number of teams, but with the New York affiliate, uh, he holds the G League all-time record, and this is a guy who's 6'6" for total rebounds in a game. How many do you reckon?
28.
Massive, but 33.
Oh fuck.
Insane.
He's 6'6".
He's 6'6". So this has piqued my attention a little bit. Um, can he do this on the NBL stage, or if he's such a prolific rebounder, is this something that's going to take away from Pinder, like it took away from Doolittle took away from Pinder, or is this a guy who's just going to eat up boards?
Yeah, look, and heading into the schedule, we have a little bit to think about with these
Mm.
Perth players. Like, I have all these question marks. The same question marks as you. Does Dylan Windler take away from Dr. Doolittle? Does Dr.
Mhm.
Doolittle continue to take away from Pinder? Is Bryce Cotton just like the second coming of Ja Morant? But we have 7 rounds to think about it. Tell us about their schedule, mate.
Yeah, look, strength of schedule is important. We always play for the doubles. It's something you need to keep in mind when making your trades, but they start slow. Everyone's got a single in the first round. They have a single in round 2, and then they have a double round 3. But after that, rounds 7 through to 11 include 5 consecutive doubles for the Perth Wildcats. And this little piece of schedule is something we need to start planning for, because there's some very relevant Supercoach players in
You're
this
gonna
stat.
want you're gonna want 3 to 5, I would say, of these guys
Yeah.
in your team. Some guys that are gonna go up in cash,
Hmm.
and some guys just to captain.
Absolutely. And we know there's some obvious choices for captain. This game is made for Bryce Cotton. And I talked about it in the article that's gone out on Patreon this week about both about the pace of teams and how tight their rotations are. And John really has been a guy who um, I think he's scared of making a sub sometimes. This guy played Bryce Cotton 37 minutes a game last year. You know, they've got some other players too that play a lot of minutes. He doesn't go particularly deep. So we'll flag that as a concern a bit later on with some of these cheaper guys. But we do know Cotton's going to play. Cotton's going to get his shots, and they're going to be running everything around Cotton.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I'm having a few audio issues, so yeah, take us through those top picks.
Yeah, look, if you're going for a premium, the top pick we're looking at is Bryce Cotton, year in, year out, perennial MVP candidate. The format suits him so much better now than the old fantasy format where it puts a premium on scoring now. He also chips in with some steals and some assists. So we all know he's a premium, but at 448K, is it worth taking the punt on a Bryce Cotton and having a weaker rest of your roster?
Can I tell you something for free?
Tell me.
In round 7, I will own Bryce Cotton. In round 1, I won't.
Mhm.
Because he only plays singles. Like, yeah, while you can expect him to. Oh, look, I think 448K gives you a break even of 37, for
Mhm.
example. And yeah, like I fully expect him to be there all roundabouts or maybe drop below a little bit,
Mm.
which I'm okay with paying.
Yep.
But when he's playing single on single at the start of the year,
No.
I won't own this guy. But when you can get 70, 37 plus 37, and I'm even giving him a little bit of leeway, when you can get 70 a week as your captain, I will
Mm.
own him and I'll probably captain him. But we get a look at Dylan Windler, we get a look at Izan Almanza, we get a look at all these fitting pieces for 7 rounds. I nearly want to do this Perth preview in round 6, not now.
Yep. Yeah. Look, I don't think you can hold him early because at 448K, there's not much room for him to go up. Like that break evens, he's at the ceiling. He had a great year last year. Uh, but you pick him up, and hopefully by then he's knocked a little bit off that price. I think this squad's going to help him. Windler can shoot the piss out of it. You had guys last year that couldn't hit a shot and end up going to the bench. Jordan Usher just made that team so much worse. So I think we've got some guys around him who can open up the floor a bit. But he's obviously the top pick. But we've got some other guys that are of interest, some cash cows and some guys that we could pad our roster out with. Who are you looking at? Who's on your watch list?
Look, it starts with Izan Almanza and comes at that that NBL Next player price of 115K.
Mhm.
If look, they say he's as good of a prospect as Sa, being the number
Yep.
one pick. By all reports, could have been picked at number one, but didn't want to go to Atlanta for whatever reason. But Almanza's going to make his way to the NBA by hook or by crook, and they will showcase him, but I'm not expecting too much. I'm expecting what they did with Saar last year, which he did reach a 230K player, but they're not just letting him he's not going to be the MVP of the league. He's going to be a guy that will go from 115K, will probably peak at that 250 and will do his things. He's also playing the same position as all these guys we've been talking about. Your your Windlers, your Doolittles, your Pinders. Um, he could be the backup for all of them, but there's going to be a little bit of a logjam there as well.
Yeah, I see him playing the exact same as Saar last year. He will back up Pinder primarily at the 5, can slide to the 4. And I think Perth have factored that in because there is no other backup big. I don't see Doolittle's playing undersized at the 4 spot as it is. He's
Mm.
not sliding to the 5. Our Munz is going to be your backup 5, and if he gets the minutes Saar did, and from all reports he's that little bit older, he's that little bit more ready. We could probably expect him to go from that 115 up to that mid 200s like Saar did. Um, I'm going to give you a 2 for 1 here. Here's my 2 cash cows: Ty Webster and Elijah Pepper. What do you think about these?
Mate, I was so keen on Pepper, but I think I've tempered my expectations just with the fact that he doesn't have those counting stats. He just gets like he just gets buckets. Pepper gets buckets. Yeah, PGB, but like I'm not seeing assists, I'm not seeing rebounds. He's just a catch and shoot guy. I'm worried on those nights, and you get less worried when you're paying 69 giggity amount for him. But like when he gets up to 130K, are you just gonna have to trade him out because shooters shoot, but they also get 10 points some nights on 4 of 17.
And I think we really need to put this into perspective. You look at the 2 preseason games that his stats have come from. So far in the 2 preseason games, 21 and a half points a game, 4 rebounds and a steal. But he's playing against the NBL 1 select. These are games where your starters, your Bryce Cottons, your Doolittles have come out and played 15 minutes, and they've played the kids big time minutes. And yeah, they've killed it, but they're playing against subpar competition. They're getting inflated minutes. Aquera played bulk minutes. Henschel, who we even talk about his name anymore, is like Voldemort. Who should not be named after what he did to us last year. But these
Sorry,
guys are
mate. I've muted you since I heard the H word.
And rightfully so. But I think we need to see a bit more of a sample size and see where he fits in. So I'm looking like this guy is going to be playing Corey Webster minutes because if Cotton's playing 37 minutes a game, there's 3 minutes of backup at the two spot, and then maybe a little bit of backup after Ty Webster at the one spot. I want to see how it plays out.
Look, Ty Webster, mate. Tell me about him because I am not excited about him at 200k.
I've never been excited about any of the Websters, but like I said, who's your backup point guard there? He's played well in the preseason, and caveat still applies. It was against subpar competition, but steals, assists, really loves him. He gets them into what they need to do. He's not a great shooter. We did see him with the Breakers a couple of years ago, and he could score. So I think at 200, he's the same price as Taron Armstrong. Obviously, Taron Armstrong's better, but maybe there's a space for him in that stretch of 5 double games where you could downgrade someone to a Ty Webster at the guard position.
Look, the great news is I don't have to make that decision today. If I will eat humble pie if I own Ty Webster in that round 7. So let's head into the red flags. But first, let's shout out to our sponsors, the Standard Squeeze. Look, coming into Father's Day, we can use that promo code IFS15 and get any of those products over my left shoulder there. We have the 4-in-1s. They fit the skinny cans there. And also just getting you the perfect pour using food grade quality plastic, so that you don't break them when you're out camping, and everything essential. But your red flags, mate. He who must not be named.
Yeah.
I'd rather gloss over this.
Look, the Henschel Pepper hype. We got sucked into Ben Henschel last year. I'm hoping that Pepper's not the same, but we can't fall into that trap again. It just about ruined our seasons, didn't it?
It did, and I'm staying away from Pepper for that exact reason. He's my red flag. I know Henschel's yours, which is very easy to be Henschel, but I see Henschel being so owned, which is why I need to bring him up, which is why you wanted to bring him up,
Mhm.
because while he was good in the minutes he got, he just wasn't getting those minutes.
No, he had a 20 odd point game in like round 1 or 2 in the regular season, and that's why we jumped on him. And then all of a sudden, really forgot about him. He's played over in New Zealand in the off season. By all reports, his game's improved. But really, are you going to play Henschel or Pepper? And it seems like Pepper is in favour at the moment as that scoring option. So I really don't see where he fits in.
And Pepper could take that usher role off the bench, and that was a 200k guy at times last year.
Mhm.
I know people were interested in owning him. But I'm really excited not to be able to talk about Jordan Usher for the rest of the year. Um, Look, mate, what do we need to see from the preseason to get us to jump on these guys with the poor schedule? Or are you just staying away from them till round 7? Is
Yeah.
Almanza in your team?
Almanza's floated in and out of my team, but the price helps with fitting some other guys around. He may be a look early. Uh, Look, the rest of them, likely not until round 7. I'll be hoping for some price drops on the big names. Uh, what I want to see out of the Blitz and the rest of the preseason, they do head over to Japan. I think they've already headed over to play some B League teams, so we might get a look there. But I want to see how they fit. I want to see that they're not stealing stats off each other, especially in that sort of 3, 4, 5 spot. And I want to see how you guys like Pepper and that fit in when there's a full squad on the floor.
I agree with you. I expect Perth to be up the top of the ladder
Mm.
when we're talking about the elite teams in the comp, at least top 3. But I'm not sure I'm going to be super interested in these Supercoach assets because I ultimately think they're going to be taking away from each other, and that
Yep.
is probably just honestly just my 2 cents.
Yep. 100%. I think that's all there is to say on Perth. Keep an eye on the Blitz.
Mate, we've got a little bit over, but the Insight NBL Unlimited League code is 202-868. You can join for free. The top scorer each week wins a standard squeeze prize pack valued at $80, and the overall winner will win a Supercoach Championship ring and a free Insight Unlimited membership on our Patreon. You've listened to an Insight Fantasy Sports podcast. I'm Matrix. This is Hammer. Cheerio.